Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's really warm today. The highest I think is like 72 which is probably what it is right now, but we're gonna be reading Song of Myself by Walt Whitman, and we're gonna be reading 11 through 20. And this is a part of Song of Myself where so many people suspect and believe that Walt Whitman may have been bisexual or gay based on like his admiration on like men that he writes about in this book, well, in this poem specifically. So we're gonna get a little bit more into that aspect of his personality and a little bit more of who he is when he writes Song of Myself. 28 young men bathe by the shore, 28 young men and all so friendly, 28 years of womanly life and all so lonesome. She owns the fine house by the rise of the bank. She hides, handsome and richly dressed, after the blinds of the window. Which of the young men does she like the best? Ah, the homeliest of them is beautiful to her. Where are you off to, lady? For I see you. You splash in the water there, yet stay stock still in your room. Dancing and laughing along the beach came the 29th bather. The rest did not see her, but she saw them and loved them. The beard of the young man glistened with wet. It ran from their long hair. Little streams passed all over their bodies. An unseen hand also passed over their bodies. A descendant trembling from their temples and ribs, the young men float on their backs with their white bellies bulged to the sky. They do not ask who sees fast to them. They do not know who puffs and declines with pendant and bending arch. They do not think whom they souse with spray. The butcher boy puts off his killing clothes or sharpens his knife at the stall in the market. I loiter, enjoying his repartee and his shuffle and breakdown. Blacksmiths with grimmed and hairy chests environ the anvil. Each has his main sledge. They are all out. There is a great heat in the fire. From the cinder-strewed threshold I follow their movements. The lithe sheer of their waists plays, even with their massive arms. Overhand the hammer swings, overhand so slow, overhand so sure. They do not hasten. Each man hits in his place. The black man holds firmly with the reins of his 4 horses. The block swags underneath on its tied-over chain. The black man that drives the long dray of the stone yard, steady and tall, he stands poised on one leg on the string piece. His blue shirt exposes his ample neck and breasts and loosens over his hip band. His glance is calm and commanding. He tosses a slouch of his hat away from his forehead. The sun falls on his crisp hair and mustache, falls on the black of his polished and perfect limbs. I behold the picturesque giant and love him, and I do not stop there. I go with the team also, and me, the caresser of life, wherever moving, backward as well as forward, slewing. To niches aside and junior bending, not a person or object missing, absorbing all to myself and for this song. Oxen that rattle the yoke and chain or halt in the leafy shade. What is it you express in your eyes? It seems to me more than all the print I have read in my life. My tread scars the wood drake and the wood duck on my distant and day-long ramble. They rise together. They slowly circle around. I believe in those winged purposes and acknowledge red, yellow, white playing with me, and consider green and violet and the turfed crowd intentional. And do not call the tortoise unworthy because she is not something else. And the jay in the woods never studied the gamut, yet trills pretty well to me, and the look of the bay mare shames silliness out of me. The wild gander leads his flock through the cool night. "Ya hunk," he says, and sounds it down to me like an invitation. The pert may suppose it meaningless, but I listen closely, find its purpose, and place up there toward the wintry sky. The sharp-hoofed moose of the north, cat on the house sill, the chickadee, the prairie dog, the litter of the grunting sow as they tug at her teats, the brood of the turkey hen, and she with her half-spread wings. I see in them, myself, the same old law. The press of my foot to the earth springs 100 affections. They scorn the best I can do to relate them. I am enamored of growing outdoors, of men that live among cattle, or to taste of the ocean or woods, of the builders and steerers of ships, the wielders of axes and mauls, and the drivers of horses. I can eat and sleep with them, week in and week out. What is commonest, cheapest, nearest, easiest is me. Me going in for my chances, spending for vast returns, adorning myself to bestow myself on the first that will take me, not asking the sky to come down to my goodwill, scattering it freely forever. The pure contralto sings in the organ loft. The carpenter stress his plank. The tongue of his foreplane whistles its wild ascending lisp. The married and unmarried children ride home to their Thanksgiving dinner. The plot seizes the kingpin. He heaves down with a strong arm. The mate stands braced in the whaleboat. Lance and harpoon are ready. The duck shooter walks by silent and cautious stretches. The deacons are ordained with crossed hands at the altar. The spinning girl retreats and advances to the hum of the big wheel. The farmer stops by the bar as he walks on a first-day loaf and looks at the oats and rye. The lunatic is carried, at last, to the asylum, a confirmed case. He will never sleep any more as he did in the cot in his mother's bedroom. The George printer, with grey head and jaunt jaws, works at his case. He turns his liquid of tobacco while his eyes blur with the manuscript. The malformed limbs are tied to the surgeon's table. What is removed drops horribly in a pail. The quandrant girl is sold at the auction stand. The drunkard nods by the bar room stove. The mechanist rolls his sleeves. The policeman travels his beat. The gatekeeper marks who pass. The young fellow drives the express wagon. I love him, though I don't know him. The half-breed straps his light boots to compete in the race. The western turkey shooting draws old and young. Some lean on their rifles, some sit on logs. Out from the crowd steps the marksman, takes his position, levels his piece. The groups of newly come immigrants cover the wharf and the levee as the woolly plates hoe. In the sugar field, the overseer views them from his saddle. The bulge calls in the ballroom. The gentlemen run for their partner. The dancers bow to each other. The youth lies awake in the cedar roof garret and harks to the musical rain. The wolverine sets traps on the creek that helps fill the Huron. The squaw, wrapped in her yellow hemmed cloth, is offering moccasins and bead bags for sale. The connoisseur peers along the exhibition gallery with half-shut eyes bent sideways. As the deckhands make fast the steamboat, the plank is thrown for the shore-going passengers. The young sister holds out the skin while the elder sister winds it off in a ball and stops now and then for the knots. The one-year wife is recovering and happy, having a week ago bore her first child. The cleared-haired Yankee girl works her sewing machine or in the factory or mill. The paving man leans on his two-handed rammer. The reporter leads files swiftly over the notebook, and the sign painter is lettering with blue and gold. The canal boy trots on the towpath. The bookkeeper counts at his desk. The shoemaker waxes his thread, and the conductor beats time for the band, and all the performers follow him. The child is baptized. The convert is making his first profession. The regatta is spread on the bay. The race has begun. How the white sails sparkle. The drover watching his drove sing out to them that would stray. The peddler sweats his pack off his back. The purchaser hingling about the odd cent. The bride unrumples her white dress. The minute hand of the clock moves slowly. The opium eater reclines with rigid head and just open lips. The prostitute draggles her swall. Her bonnet bops on her tipsy and pimpled neck. The crowd laugh at her blackguard oaths. The men jeer and wink to each other, miserable. I do not laugh at your oaths, nor jeer you. The president, holding a cabinet council, is surrounded by great secretaries. On the piazza walk 3 martyrs, stately and friendly, with twined arms. The crew of the fish smack, pack repeated layers of halibut in the hold. The Missourian crosses the plains, toting his wharves and cattle. As the fare collector goes through the train, he gives notice by the jingling of loose change. The floormen are laying the floor. The tinners are tinning the roof, and the masons are calling for mortar. In single file, each shouldering his hot pass onward, the laborers. Seasons pursuing each other, and the indescribable crowd is gathered. It is the 4th of the 7th month. What salutes of cannons and small arms! Seasons pursuing each other. The flugger flows, the mower mows, and the winter grain falls in the ground. Off on the lakes, the pike fisher watches and waits by the hole in the frozen surface. The stumps stand thick around the clearing, and the squatter strikes deep with his axe. Float boatmen make fast towards dusk near the cottonwood or pecan trees. Slave seekers go through the region of the Red River, or through those drained by the Tennessee or those of the Arkansas. Torches shine in the dark that hangs on the Chattahoochee or the Altamaha. Patriarchs sit at supper with sons and grandsons and great-grandsons around them. In the walls of adobe, in canvas tents, rest hunters and trappers after their day's sport. The city sleeps and the country sleeps. The living sleep for their time, and the dead sleep for their time. The old husband sleeps by his wife, and the young husband sleeps by his wife. And these tend inward to me, and I tend outward to them. And such as it is to be of these more or less I am. And of these one and all I weave the song of myself. I am of old and young, of the foolish as much as the wise, regardless of others, ever regardful of others, maternal as well as paternal, a child as well as a man, stuffed with the stuff that is coarse, and stuffed with the stuff that is fine. One of the nation, of many nations, the smallest the same, and the largest the same, a southerner, soon as a northerner, a planter, nonchalant and hospitable, down by the Oconee I live. A Yankee bound my own way, ready for trade, my joints, the limberest joints on earth, and the sternest joints on earth. A Kentuckian, walking the bow of the Elkhorn in my deerskin leggings. A Louisianan, a Georgian, a boatman, over lakes or bays, or along coasts, a Hoyser, a Badger, a Buckeye. At home, on Canadian snowshoes, or up in the bush, or with fishermen off Newfoundland. At home, in the fleet of ice boats sailing with the rest and tacking. At home on the hills of Vermont, or in the woods of Maine, or the Texan ranch. Comrade of Californians, comrade of free Northwesterners, loving their big proportions, comrade of raftsmen and coalmen, comrade of all who shake hands and welcome to drink and meet. A learner with the simplest, a teacher of the thoughtfulest. a novice beginning yet experienced, of myriads of seasons. Of every hue and caste am I, of every rank and religion, a farmer, a mechanic, artist, gentleman, sailor, Quaker, prisoner, fancy man, rowdy, lawyer, physician, priest. I resist anything better than my own destiny. Breathe the air, but leave plenty for me, and am not stuck up, and am in my place. The moth and the fish eggs are in their place. The bright suns I see, and the dark suns I cannot see, are in their place. The palpable is in its place, and the impalpable is in its place. These are really the thoughts of all men in all ages and lands. They are not original with me. If they are not yours as much as mine, they are nothing, or next to nothing. If they are not the riddle, and the untying of the riddle, they are nothing. If they are not just as close as they are distant, they are nothing. This is the grass that grows wherever the land is and the water is. This is the common air that bathes the globe. With music strong I come, with the cornets and my drums. I play not marches for accepted victors only. I play marches for conquered and slain persons. Have you heard that it was good to gain the day? I also say it is good to fall. Battles are lost in the same spirit in which they are won. I beat and pound for the dead. I blow through my embouchures, my loudest and gayest for them. Vivas to those who have failed, and to those whose war vessels sank in the sea, and to those themselves who sank in the sea, and to all generals that lost engagements, and all overcome heroes, and the numberless unknown heroes equal to the greatest heroes known. This is a meal equally set. This is a meal for natural hunger. It is for the wicked just the same as the righteous. I make appointments with all. I will not have a single person slackened or left away. The kept woman, sponger, thief are hereby invited. The heavy-lipped slave is invited. The venereal is invited. There shall be no difference between them and the rest. This is the press of the bashful hand. This is the float and odor of the hair. This is the touch of my lips to yours. This, the murmur of yearning. This is the far-off depth and height reflecting my own face. This is the thoughtful merge of myself and the outlet again. Do you guess I have some intricate purpose? Well, I have, for the 4-month showers have, and the mica on the side of the rock has. Do you take it I would astonish? Does the daylight astonish? Does the early redstart twittering through the woods, do I astonish more than they? This hour, I tell things in confidence. I might not tell everybody, but I tell you. Who goes there? Ranking, gross, mystical, nude? How is it I extract strength from the beef I eat? What is a man, anyhow? What am I? What are you? All I mark as my own, you shall offset it with your own. At least it were time lost, listening to me. I do not snivel the world over. That months are vacuous, and the ground but wallow and filth. Whimpering and chuckling, fold with powers for invalids. Conformity goes to the fourth removed. I wear my hat as I please indoors or out. Why should I pray, venerate, and be ceremonious? Having pried through the strata, analyzed to a hair, consoled with doctors and calculated close, I find no sweeter fat than sticks to my own bones. In all people I see myself, none more, and not one, a barely cornless. And the good or bad I say of myself, I say of them. I know I am solid and sound. To me, the converging objects of the universe perpetually flow. All are written to me, and I must get what the writing means. I know I am deathless. I know this orbit of mine cannot be swept by a carpenter's compass. I know I shall not pass like a child's carlicue cut with a burnt stick at night. I know I am August. I do not trouble my spirits to indicate itself to be understood. I see that the elementary law never apologize. I reckon I behave no prouder than the level I plant my house by, after all. I exist as I am, that is enough. If no other in the world be aware, I sit content. And if each and all be aware, I sit content. One world is aware, and by far the largest to me, and that is myself. And whether I come to my own today, or in 10,000 or 10 million years, I can cheerfully take it now, or with equal cheerfulness I can wait. My foothold is tendoned and mortised in granite. I laugh at what you call dissolution, and I know the amplitude of time. Alright guys, so that was the last one, which was section 20. Next week we'll probably try to go from 21 to 30. That should be good. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's reading. Alright, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye everyone. After their day's sport. I fucking hate every single time that happens.